Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with atbbq.com, and this is barbecue smoked turkey. Today we're going to be preparing a whole turkey spatchcock style, and this is a recipe that's great year-round, but ideal for the holiday season. Let me give you a quick run through of what we're going to do. We're going to start by spatchcocking the bird. That's cutting out the backbone so we can lay it flat. Then we're going to throw it into a brine overnight. When it comes out of the brine, we're going to prepare an herb butter solution that we're going to inject into the meat, and then we'll get it seasoned up and onto the smoker. What we have here is a 10-pound young turkey. This one was frozen. We bought it frozen and thawed it out. It was injected with a solution of about 6%, I believe it said. And this is pretty typical of what most people are going to buy when you go to the grocery store and buy a turkey. Now, ideally, you want that solution to be as low as possible. One, because you're paying for it. So 8% of what we buy is just water weight that they've added. And two, because we really don't want this work too much before we get a hold of it. We want to be able to do to it what we want as far as brining, injecting, and stuff like that goes without it being affected before the process. 10 pounds is definitely on the smaller side, but I really like the smaller birds. One, because they're younger and they tend to be a little bit more tender, and two, because they cook faster, which is really nice. Also, we happen to be cooking this bird about a month and a half before Thanksgiving, and you can't really get giant turkeys before Thanksgiving. So a lot of times they stuff some extras inside the cavity here. We've got the neck. Sometimes you'll get some other stuff in there too. I'm gonna save this for some turkey stock later on, and we'll do the same thing with the backbone here in just a moment. So what we're looking at doing is we want to cut alongside the backbone, either side here, and just go ahead and remove that. All right, I'm gonna sop up some of these extra juices here. We'll just set that on the towel so it doesn't move around on us. Now you're gonna want a nice sharp pair of shears. These shears from Victorinox are pretty affordable. They got a great grip on them so you can cut through these backbones pretty easily. And as you can see, nice and sharp, cuts right through the skin. So we're just gonna go right up that side and come right back down. And we're just staying right alongside that backbone. Super easy. And we'll snip this excess skin that's connecting stuff here. And then we're gonna move to the bottom side of that breastbone right there. So I'm just gonna take my shears and make a cut right in the center. That's gonna help me when I break this down. So you're just gonna push it flat. You can see that breastbone is exposed now. And then as we flip this over, you can see how all the meat kind of sits on the same level now, which is going to allow this to cook evenly so our dark meat gets done with our white meat. I'm not really interested in doing any extra trimming here. This is our presentation side. This is what we want to look really pretty. You could get rid of some bones on the back side if you want to. I'm not gonna mess with it. There is one little thing I wanna do, which is remove the wishbone from the top of the breast. And that's because when this thing is fully finished, fully cooked, and you're ready to serve it, it's on the table, you can take your slicer and slice right down that breast without hitting the wishbone, and it's easy to serve and it presents really nice. Now the wishbone sits right in here at the top of these breasts. We're just gonna remove some of this stuff that we don't need in the way anyways. And you can see the wishbone comes all the way out. That white bit right there, that's the tip of the wishbone. So we're gonna start down here at the base of it, feel for that bone, and just slip the knife in right behind it. It sits pretty flat, and then it's really easy to just slice out, just like that. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And then you're just gonna work your way down to the base of it. I'm gonna grab a paper towel just to get a grip. There we go. I made that look harder than it needed to be. And with that removed now, you can imagine this finished bird here. And we're just gonna take some slices right out of there, cut straight down without worrying about that bone. Now I'm gonna get the spatchcocked bird into our briner bucket. And if you are a fan of those bigger birds, this briner bucket's great because it'll do up to a 25-pound bird, but it works perfectly for the 10-pounders as well. Let's get our brine in there. We're brining with the smoked apple spice from Sweetwater Spice today. This is a brine concentrate. So we'll get that on top of the bird first. And then we're gonna add water to cover. So you can go up to 6 times water to that one bottle. And the reason I chose this brine is I think it's a really great combination of both the barbecue and holiday flavor profiles. It's apple juice based, so that's nice. You get a little bit of sweetness. And it's got the brown sugar, it's got some chilies. It's also got some onion and garlic, and then some unexpected stuff like tamarind paste and a little bit of cinnamon. Really interesting flavors. So we'll just kind of give this a nice mix around. You'll notice that the meat is sitting meat side down with that backbone side up. The spatchcock makes it really easy to get it fully submerged. And then to keep it submerged, and this is the beauty of the briner bucket, you've got the locking plate. Push it under, lock it in place, it's staying there all night. So you slap a lid on there. Probably gonna wanna truck that out to the garage fridge. We've got plenty of room for it to soak at least 1 hour per pound. We're just gonna leave this overnight. Now, I went ahead and threw a bird into the brine last night so that we could continue on today. We're just gonna take some of that excess moisture off the surface. We'll set the bird aside for now because what we're gonna do next is put together the injection. So we'll kick this thing off with 1 cup of unsalted butter. The plan here is to create a garlic herb butter that we can then inject into the bird for extra flavor and moisture. So we'll add to the butter 3 cloves of crushed garlic here. We've got, I don't know, about a couple sprigs of thyme there, 1 sprig of rosemary, and a few sage leaves. And as this butter melts down and everything heats up, we're gonna be steeping this butter in these herbs and in this garlic to really infuse their flavors. So just over medium-low heat, you wanna gently simmer away for about 10 minutes or so to infuse those flavors and aromas, and it's already smelling just incredible. We're also gonna take this opportunity to add a little seasoning with the R-Butts, our smoking butt kicking chicken rub. So we get a little barbecue influence here with our holiday flavor profile, bringing those worlds together. And then after that 10 minutes or so, we're just gonna turn the heat off. You can already smell, gosh, it smells so good. We're just gonna strain all of this off so we can inject the butter into the turkey. And you can see it's just lightly browned, kind of golden. Part of that's from that barbecue rub that we added. Let's check the flavor. Whoa, that's nice. We want to throw just a little bit more of that barbecue rub in there, but once we bump up that salt and that sweet just a touch, it's gonna be perfect. All right, this is pretty warm, so we're gonna let it cool down just a little bit before we inject it. While we're waiting on that butter to cool down, I'm gonna put together our rub that we're gonna season the bird with. We're actually gonna season this bird before we inject it, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. We've got 3 ingredients for this rub, and it's going to be equal parts of each. So we're gonna start off here with a 1/3 cup of smoked salt. We're gonna add a 1/3 cup of coarse ground black pepper. And finish with 1/3 cup of that same barbecue rub that we put into the injection, the butt kicking chicken. All right, we get it mixed up, and we're gonna apply it to the bird. All right, we're gonna start with the inside of the bird here, and we're gonna season pretty generously. Now you notice there's still some moisture on the surface of the bird that's left over from the brine, and that's what's going to act as our binder to get this rub to stick onto the bird. Okay, so one thing we're doing a little bit differently today. In the past, you've seen me release the skin from the flesh and get our seasoning all the way underneath. But today with this butter injection, it's already got some barbecue rub in it. I'm just gonna keep it simple. We're gonna let the skin stay right where it sits. We're gonna put the seasoning on the outside. So we'll inject some of that seasoning into the flesh and just worry about getting our seasoning on the outside. This makes things a little bit quicker and easier. All right, so we've got that thing covered pretty well. We're gonna tuck those wings back. And from here we can transfer this to the tray that we're gonna be cooking on. So kind of the same setup here. We've got a sheet pan lined with foil. That's gonna catch all of the juices as it cooks. Makes the cleanup nice and easy. And then I get this thing positioned just the way I want it, and I can inject from here. All right, so we've got the garlic herb butter cooled down. We're gonna load up the injector. And we are gonna start here with the breasts. We'll get that down into the center of the meat, make a little pocket, and look at that. See it pump right up, fill up with that butter injection. You're always gonna lose a little bit out the top. That's okay, don't worry about it. There's plenty still going on inside of there. We're gonna start with the breast because that's the area we wanna focus on the most. We'll probably get some into the thighs and legs, but really the breasts are what we're looking to load up with the extra moisture. So just kind of work in a grid pattern so that you know where you've been. And remember, with all of those herb flavors, those holiday herb flavors, we're actually able to just inject a little bit of Thanksgiving into this barbecue turkey. Get just a little bit into the wings here. Come down into these thighs. And that 1 cup of butter is going to be just about the perfect amount. So we're just gonna touch up the rub here from the butter leakage. Make sure we've got good coverage, no problem. And now we don't have to move this bird at all. It's set and ready to go on the grill. We're smoking our turkey today on the Yoder Smoker's YS640 pellet grill. We're running a combination of cherry and pecan pellets, and it's set up fully indirect. We've got the grill running at 300 degrees today. We're gonna slide this bird right up here onto the second shelf. Also, I'm gonna slide an Amazing tube smoker in here filled with the same pellets that we're cooking with today. We're gonna fire this thing up. Just wait till we have a good flame going. We'll give it a minute to burn, and then we'll blow it out. So here's the deal with the smoke tube. We wanna cook this bird at about 300 degrees so we can render out the fat in the skin. But what happens with pellet grills inherently is that the hotter you cook, the less smoke flavor you notice on the meat. So we're gonna punch up that smoke flavor by adding the smoke tube. We still get the bird cooked in a timely fashion and all of that fat rendered out of the skin. Well, here we are about 1 hour and 45 minutes into this cook, and our internal is climbing just about to where we want it. The last 15 minutes or so I've been coming out here and basting with just a little bit of these juices and the fats that have run off the bird. It gives it a really nice shine on the outside. And once your bark is set, you really don't have to worry about losing that seasoning. So here's the thing. This turkey is going to be ridiculously good, just the way it is. Does it need a sauce? It doesn't. I'm gonna make one anyway though. And you can do with it what you will.
I'll be your dream, I'll be your wish, I'll be your fantasy.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start with 1 cup of 100% cranberry juice. Get it into the large skillet, crank it up on high, and let this reduce down to a 1/4 cup. I'm gonna take this opportunity to once again work on this fusion that we're working with today of barbecue and Thanksgiving. So we're starting off with the cranberry juice. In our minds, it's a very holiday-oriented thing, right? It's very tart. It's not necessarily sweet in this form. We're gonna reduce it down, and what that's gonna do is concentrate all those flavors and thicken that just a little bit. It's still gonna be a runny juice, but once we mix it with our barbecue sauce, which is a very thick, spicy barbecue sauce with a little bit of cinnamon in it, it makes everything come together perfectly. So again, we're looking to reduce this down to about 1/4 cup. Looks like we went just a little bit past that, but that's gonna be okay. And I'll add 1/4 cup of the House of Q sugar and spice barbecue sauce. You can see how thick that barbecue sauce is, and these are gonna kind of balance each other out. So there we have our cranberry infused spicy barbecue sauce. Should end up a little bit thin, which is great. You can almost use this like a dipping sauce. I've given the turkey about 15 minutes to rest now. You could go a little bit longer if you want, but make sure you're covering it up with some foil so it stays warm. You want to give it time for the juices to redistribute. Now, those breasts for sure are packed full of butter, which is great, and they're going to be juicy anyway, but there are extremities where the juices start running to the center, and you got to give it some time to let those juices redistribute. Now, there's a number of ways to attack this thing, but I'm going to start by getting in here right behind this wing, and we can cut some slices out of this breast here. So that actually presents really nice if you want to go ahead and remove your wing, cut some slices out of that breast. Remember, we removed that wishbone that was right there, so we can slice right through that. And it's not hard to see just how juicy that is right there in the center. Look at that. Incredible. And the legs and thighs, and they pretty much just come apart on their own. If you want to split this in half, you're just going to come right in between the leg and the thigh down to that joint and cut right through. Take that breast right off the rib cage and fan that out on your platter. Beautiful. Now, another thing you can do when it comes to slicing the breast is to actually take the whole breast off of the breastbone, off of the rib cage, off of the carcass, and you're just going to scoop down underneath there, peel that right back. There's your tenderloin. And then you can go ahead and cut your slices right out of there as well. Beautiful, tender, juicy white meat. Now don't forget about that juice we talked about earlier. You just want to strain that off. And if you want, you can let the fat separate from the liquid, and then you can incorporate this back into your turkey meat. And the turkey will soak those juices right back up. Tons of flavor in there too. Man, so juicy. And see that skin? Bite right through it. That's from that higher cooking temperature. We rendered the fat out so it's not too chewy. Let's try with a dip in the sauce. I love this vibrant red color on here. It looks beautiful. Woo! It's got some zing to it. You get the tart up front. The heat stays with you a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of barbecue sauce on a savory meat like this, but that's a great pairing. This turkey right here is easily one of my very favorite smoked turkey recipes. And if you're thinking about this for Thanksgiving, but you're not sure with that barbecue portion in there, put it out your mind. This is a savory turkey. It's got great savory flavors, lots of black pepper, some garlic. You're not gonna think of it as a barbecue dish so much as a barbecue play on a Thanksgiving dish. Before we wrap this up, I kind of feel like I downplayed the sauce a little bit, and I wanna recommend that you make probably 2 or 3 times as much because it's cranberry barbecue sauce. Like, People are gonna go nuts for it. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, be sure to check out atbbq.com for all of the products featured in today's video. And if you haven't yet, head over there and sign up for our weekly emails because there's a ton of holiday-centric information coming out in the next couple of months, and you don't wanna miss out on that. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to thesauce.atbbq.com. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.